Here's a quick review of Lesson 59, Trigonometric CoFunctions. Now, we have all these original trig functions. We have three of them. We have sine, we have cosine, and we have tangent. Now, tangent is equal to sine over cosine. Today, we started talking about secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Now, secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So secant is equal to 1 over cosine, or sometimes you can just think of it as a flipped cosine. A lot of the time cosine is a fraction, so it's easier to just think of it as flipped rather than 1 over a fraction. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so it's 1 over sine. And that means that it could be also considered as flipped sine. Our last function is cotangent, which could be thought of as 1 over tangent, or flipped tangent. Well, let's think about this. That means since regular tangent is equal to sine over cos, if I flip that, that means that cotangent must be equal to cos over sine. And it is. So cotangent is equal to cos over sine. That's the definition that we use most of the time. Now let's go over to the back of the sheet where we were doing the bulk of our work. There are a couple of equivalences that you need to know. Some decimal fraction equivalents. The fraction 0.5 is equal to 1/2. That seems pretty obvious, right? The fraction 0.707 is equal to radical 2 over 2. That's one of those numbers from the special triangles that we were using a couple weeks ago. The last is that the fraction, or the decimal, 0.866 is equal to radical 3 over 2. So if you get one of these in your calculator, when you go to solve for one of these examples below, you'll know what to do because we don't use these. We don't use decimals. We're going to be using fractions because these are exact and they work with the keep, change, flip rules. So I'll walk you through the first example, and you should be good from there. They want us to find the exact value of secant, cosecant, tangent, and cotangent. In order to find those, I need the building blocks. Now it says right up here that sine and cosine are the building blocks of all the other trig functions. So I need to have them first. So I need to find sine and cosine of negative 585 degrees. If you have a calculator, this is very easy. If I want sine of negative 585, I should make sure that I'm in degree mode by pressing mode and seeing that degree is indeed highlighted. Okay, I'm in degree mode. So now sine of negative 585 is 0.707. So what fraction is that equal to? That means that sine of this angle here, is equal to radical 2 over 2. That's one really important thing that we needed in order to move forward. Let's find another one. What about cosine of negative 585? Cosine of negative 585 is equal to, negative 0.707. So that's going to be cosine of theta is equal to negative radical 2 over 2. In order to find the rest of these functions, I need to use these. So let's start with secant. What is secant equal to? Let's cut this area off over here. segment my workspace. So secant of theta, that's equal to 1 over cos, or it could also be considered to be flipped cosine. So if I take cosine and I flip it upside down, that will give me secant. If I flip that upside down, I get 2 over negative radical 2. That's what secant is equal to. Just flipped cosine. Oh, I forgot I wanted that line there. Now what about cosecant? Cosecant of theta is equal to a flipped sine. You have that definition on the front of your paper. So cosecant is equal to a flipped sine. So in that case, that means this is 2 over radical 2. Next, I'm going to need tangent. The order doesn't really matter here. Tangent of theta is equal to sine over cos, which in this case is equal to radical 2 over 2 over negative radical 2 over 2. We never divide fractions though, so what I would do is I would keep, change, and flip. I keep the radical 2 over 2, change it to multiplication, and I flip the denominator. So that becomes 2 over negative radical 2. Now, these cross out because there's one on top and one on bottom. The radical 2's cross out because there's one on top and one on bottom. They all leave 1's behind, and also a negative sign. So this is equal to negative 1. That's tangent theta. Last but not least, I need cotangent. Cotangent is equal to 1 over tan, or flipped tan. So if it's 1 over tan, that means it must be 1 over negative 1. Just pull that out from here. And 1 over negative 1 is equal to negative 1. So cotangent and tangent in this case are exactly equal. We can do one more real quick, just in case you need it. Question 21, because I know it's not one of your homework questions. So 330 degrees. I could use the calculator to do this, but I want to show you real quick how we would do it without one. How we would do it without one is we would use the special triangles. So let's remember, 330 degrees would be down here in quadrant 4, 330. This is 360, which means that my angle in here is 30 degrees. It creates a triangle. There's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Across from the 30-degree angle is a 1/2 side length. It happens to be negative because it's down. On the right-hand side, or rather on the top, as I move right here, this side is opposite the 60-degree angle. So this side is going to be a rad 3 over 2. Now as we move right, this is positive rad 3 over 2. And confirm, yeah, moving down is negative 1/2. So from this, I could tell what sine and cosine are equal to. Sine is the height, so sine is negative 1/2. Cosine is the base, so cosine is equal to rad 3 over 2. Those are the two things I needed in order to get started, and look, I did it without a calculator. But you could also use a calculator. Now let's go through the flips. Secant is a flipped cosine, so that means 2 over rad 3. Cosecant is a flipped sine, so that means 2 over negative 1 or negative 2. That's cosecant. Now tangent. Tan is equal to sine over cos, which is negative 1/2 over rad 3 over 2. I'm going to do exactly what I did before, which is keep, change, flip. I keep the negative 1 over 2, I change to multiplication, and I flip the 2 over rad 3. The 2's cross out, and I get negative 1 over radical 3. So that's tangent. Last but not least, I need cotangent, which is just a flipped tangent, right? So let's just flip this tangent. Radical 3 over negative 1, which can be simplified to negative radical 3. And there you go. That's all the work it takes to do one of these questions. To clarify, you're doing 24 through 30, I believe. 30's instructions are the same as the other ones to find secant, cosecant, tangent, and cotangent. Good luck. See you in class.